Now we are in Gütersloh.
Yes.
There have been the lessons already, the masterclasses. What do you learn on occasions like this, Annette?
I learned to be a multitasker because because when they come in and they bring a piece that I haven't sung, and I haven't sung everything, especially not the male repertoire. I need to read music, understand the music, understand what they could improve, and then the third thing I have to think about is how do I get them there, and how can I address the issues without them being offended, and is this personality, because we don't know them. Is this personality vulnerable? Is it better to not?
And it is very personal, isn't it? To criticize, to find a way together.
It's extremely personal, and there are some people where you get the sense that you can say, you know what, Axel, this really doesn't suit you, and you not thinking, oh, she doesn't like me, because it's not about liking. It's just about saying this, you didn't do this well, but. For some people, you cannot
do it different.
You could do it different. For some people, you cannot say that. You could say, you might want to find another color. It could be more beautiful if this kind of thing. And then find the language, find the entrance into a person's mind and acceptance. And and then always keep with the music.
What have been your experiences as a young singer? Who helped you in what way, and who didn't help you? What were the big mistakes of people who tried to help you but failed, perhaps?
I have to say that actually when I was young, I started very young my career. So actually while I was still a student. So I never, and now they are at a stage where most of them have finished university, and now they are looking to get what they need. So I never entered that stage. I started my career immediately, and that was, sometimes I miss this. I think I must have, it would have been easier for me to get just more input, because then I felt what I did was I shut down.
You had to learn and practice, and
I had to learn to practice, and I had to, my thing was, I don't want to hear anything about my technique. I don't want to listen to anybody criticizing me, because I was 23.
Yes.
And so I think they are incredibly open, very open. And I had to learn that along the way, but also to decide who to listen to,
This is important, isn't it?
Very important, because everybody thinks, it's like with football. Everybody thinks they know what's best for you.
The whole world of opera is vocal coaches.
Exactly. Yeah.
So who was it you listened to?
Well, I listened to my teacher, and then I listened to, I learned a lot from the good conductors that I worked with. I learned very much from Nicolas Harnoncourt, René Jacobs. I learned a lot from Fabio Luisi, because he had this Italian but also German thing going on. I worked a lot with him when I was young, and I really learned a lot from him. Yeah. So, and then there comes one pianist. He comes and plays for a stage rehearsal, and you think, oh, this is something that I hear. And then he says something, or he looks at you in a special way, and you ask, could we make a coaching together? And then this is. But it's,
and again, it's
diffuse.
To find the right people.
To find the right piece. And sometimes it's just luck. It's just luck.
Is there something with young singers where you say, this is a mistake, or this is something they are struggling with, which is so, like, for everybody the same problem, or is it always individual?
I think that this younger generation, they struggle much less than we did with a lot of issues, because they are much more open and much more connected. The world is much smaller now. And I mean, when you talk to them, they go like, yeah, I've worked with her and her and her in New York,
so
and
they
here
can grab
and here.
Whoever they want.
So they are much more international, much more open, I think. So that's a good thing. I think the challenges for them is there are just much more singers now than there used to be when I started. Less jobs, many more singers from all over the world, and fit for the job. So I don't know. No.
It has been a topic for all of you coaches, the step from university and learning to really the stage. We heard that very often at university, very often it's about technique, it's about perfection, whatever that may be. And suddenly on stage, you have to do art. Do you find that as well, that it is a big step to go from this education thing to the real stage thing?
I think that depends on the student. I think that the universities, actually, some of them, they have this, they are offering much more than, but also from my experience when I was a student, I was actually the only one to take acting class serious.
Okay.
I was the only one to take Musikgeschichte seriously. And all my colleagues, they were all about like sitting in the canteen, not all of them, I'm a bit exaggerating, but sitting in the canteen at lunch saying, oh, I just sang La Traviata Zaria. I must say, I found I was pretty good.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Really?
This is, I mean, and of course, I encourage that because students, they need, if you want to do this job, you need self-love and you need to be convinced that you are special. But for my taste and for my kind of moral compass, I would want for them to feel special also because they read a couple of books and also because they have very precise opinions about Schiller, about Shakespeare, about Bartok, where the period when the pieces were written and about why do they think they want to play Wozzeck, Today.
Yeah.
And why do they maybe have, or should we have a problem with impersonating Lulu, for example? And these topics like political, society topics, I think sometimes that these singers, they choose this job because they live in kind of this opera bubble that is not real.
And not connected to what is out there, not connected to the world of the audience, for example.
Yes.
That's what you said yesterday at dinner. You said, there are little tricks I'm using while I'm doing the masterclass. Now we are revealing them. And say, I don't know this role, but what are you actually singing there? And how do people react? Differently. I mean, there are actually some people who cannot say, who don't know when Rossini wrote a piece. I mean, I don't need the exact date of the year, but what happened is
what happened, and do they know when Rossini lived? Was it the 19th or the 18th or the 20th century? I'm not sure if everybody knows that. And I think this knowledge and this, because that's also fun. This is fun knowledge to really
somebody
connect.
like Anancourt who really enthusiasts you about that.
Of course. And actually all the good artists that you work with. I mean, I know no conductor or director who just gives a shit about these kind of things.
And you see as well that it is a normality of life. It has been. I think Anancourt always said, whenever people laugh in Mozart operas, they are yodeling. And Mozart listened to this yodeling in his Salzburg farms. It's farm music from Austria. That's when they are happy. So it's this connection to reality as well. To bring that to the people. Last question. You said that already. The market is different than when you started. Lots of singers coming out of the universities. Less and less and smaller ensembles. What do you tell them? Do they have to plan careers differently? Do they have to be more engaged in finding own programs? Or do they have to struggle and fight for these few little jobs in opera houses?
Actually, I don't know. I think this is a question for you to answer because I have no idea of how this business actually works. The only thing that I can say is it helps to be liked and to be likable. But on the other hand, I would never suggest that everybody makes themselves, always cheerful.
But you develop your own formats as well. You have the Dasch Salon.
Yes, of course.
You talk about classical music with people out of other contexts. I mean, you invented formats where you could perform.
Yeah, that's true. But on the other hand, there is also, like when people ask me, could you come and sing a recital? And I make this exquisite program where I find a connection between Hans Eisler and I don't know. And people say, I'm sorry.
I'm out.
Can you please do Schubert and Schumann? Because otherwise we won't have any audience. And that's, so I don't know. Of course, I like to encourage people to look for the niche, for the little corners of the repertoire. You know, find a way to Lily Boulanger, but look at the Scandinavian lead repertoire, which is huge, but not so many people here know it. So, but then on the other hand, I think, I don't know if it's maybe a waste of time. I mean, for themselves, it's definitely not, but for the business, I don't know. And you said something very smart. Do I have this time to say this?
Yes, of course.
Because you said...
When I said something smart, you can always
Yeah. You said the business is changing.
Yeah.
And everything is changing. The only thing that hasn't changed is how the business is run. Because we still have this kind of monarchy in a theater where there's just one decider. One person decides. And this is...
And can act without borders.
Without borders and without having to justify.
That's what I always say. The Deutsche Bank, which is a DAX concern, has better compliance rules than an opera house.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
It's true.
So we can't discuss morality on stage if we don't have moral standards behind stage.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not even just moral. It's just how is it possible that we are only, employed here and there and there and there, and then if nobody employs me anymore, there's no safety net. There's just no safety net, and nobody is in charge. Nobody is responsible for that. And I think this, for women who have 2 children or 3 children, they are employed in Dessau. Comes a new intendant, fires her. Nobody, and now...
All the freelancing...
All the freelancers. Now, what is she supposed to do? Yeah. She is 43. Yeah. She has children that are in school. She has to move to another city. She has to audition at that age. And there the system really fails. Yeah. And nothing has changed with that. I'm sorry to say.
I think there is awareness about that, but it is especially with the mothers and perhaps the fathers, and it hasn't arrived at the institutions. But this is so important that we bring that to the institution as well. Yeah.
That we educate the leaders.
Yes.
Better.
Or find better leaders.
Find better leaders. Yeah. Educate them. Yeah.
It's all about Lohengrin. Thank you, Annette Dasch. Thank you.
Thank you.